February 19th, 1945. Dawn breaks over a desolate volcanic island as 70,000 American Marines prepare for what would become one of the bloodiest battles in Pacific theater history. Wave after wave of landing craft surge toward the black sands of Iwo Jima, while Japanese defenders hunker down in an underground fortress that took months to construct. Above them, squadrons of Allied fighters clash with desperate Japanese pilots, flying their legendary Zeros in what many knew would be their final mission. It's a grinding meat grinder of close-quarters combat, tunnel warfare, and aerial dogfights using the best technology 1945 has to offer. But let's change one thing. Screaming across the Pacific at impossible speed comes something that shouldn't exist for another 60 years. An F-22 Raptor, the most advanced air superiority fighter ever built, armed with weapons that could reshape the entire course of World War II. So what happens when a fifth-generation stealth fighter suddenly appears over one of history's most brutal battlefields? Can a single aircraft change the outcome of a battle that cost nearly 30,000 American casualties, or is even the future's most lethal war machine just one plane against an entire island fortress? This isn't your grandfather's World War II fighter plane. The F-22 Raptor looks like it was designed by engineers from another planet who really understand how to delete enemy aircraft from existence. Its angular stealth design gives it the radar signature of a Sparrow, despite being a 65-foot-long titanium death machine weighing 38,000 pounds when fully loaded. Here's what this flying supercomputer brings to 1945. Twin Pratt and Whitney engines generating 35,000 pounds of thrust each, enough to push this beast past Mach 2.25 at altitude while barely breaking a sweat. But here's the really scary part for anyone on the receiving end. Supercruise capability means it maintains Mach 182 without even using afterburners, cruising faster than most 1945 aircraft can dive while sipping fuel like a Honda Civic. The F-22's brain is an AN/APG-77 AESA radar array that can track over 100 targets simultaneously from 150 miles away while calculating the square root of your social security number. It sees everything, tracks everything, and can guide missiles to hit a golf ball traveling at supersonic speeds. Armed with 6 AIM-120 AMRAAM beyond visual range missiles that think faster than Einstein and fly at Mach 4, plus 2 AIM-9X Sidewinders for anything foolish enough to get close. And if things get personal, there's an M61A2 Vulcan cannon firing 6,000 rounds per minute of 20mm Freedom Seeds. All of this packaged behind stealth technology so advanced that 1945 radar would have better luck spotting Bigfoot riding a unicorn through a snowstorm. But even this aerial god of war faces a unique challenge, because Iwo Jima isn't just any battlefield. This 8-square-mile volcanic rock has been turned into the most sophisticated underground fortress the world has ever seen. 22,000 Japanese defenders have spent 8 months carving 11 miles of tunnels, bunkers, and caves into solid volcanic rock. They've got artillery pieces hidden in positions that can only be reached by crawling through spaces barely wide enough for a human body. These aren't just regular soldiers either. They're seasoned veterans who've been preparing for this exact moment, knowing full well they're never leaving this island alive. Their commander has issued orders that every man will kill 10 Americans before dying, and they've got the defensive positions to make that promise terrifyingly realistic. Supporting this underground nightmare are the remnants of Japan's once mighty Air Force. Mitsubishi A6M Zeros that terrorized the Pacific for the first 2 years of the war. By 1945, these legendary fighters have seen better days, but they're still flown by pilots who consider death in combat the highest honor imaginable. The A6M5 variant carries 20mm cannons and 7.7mm machine guns, plus enough fuel to fly over 1,600 miles, giving them incredible range for hit-and-run attacks. They're lightweight, maneuverable, and in the hands of experienced pilots, still dangerous to anything that gets into a turning fight. Sure, they max out at 354 miles per hour, and their lack of armor makes them vulnerable, who've already written their own death sentences. In the other, an island fortress defended by men confrontation that spans 7 decades of aviation technology, but desperate men flying suicide missions, don't worry. In one corner, the absolute pinnacle of 21st century air superiority, much about armor plating. The stage is set for At 600 hours, the F-22 Raptor materializes over Iwo Jima like a ghost from the future. Japanese radar operators stare at their primitive screens in confusion. One moment, the sky is empty. The next, their instruments detect what looks like a flock of birds. By the time they realize something's wrong, death is already streaking toward them at 4 times the speed of sound. The first wave of defending Zeros lifts off from the island's airstrip, 12 aircraft strong, their pilots chanting final prayers as they climb into what they believe will be their last battle. Flight leader Saburo Sakai, one of Japan's most experienced aces with over 60 confirmed kills, leads his squadron in a textbook intercept pattern. They're flying in tight formation, exactly as their training dictated, searching for the mysterious aircraft their ground controllers reported. It's the last mistake most of them will ever make. From 80 miles away, the Raptor's pilot designates targets with the casual efficiency of someone ordering coffee. The AESA radar paints each Zero with invisible beams, while the aircraft's computer brain calculates intercept courses, wind speed, target velocity, and 1,000 other variables in microseconds. 6 AIM-120 MRAM missiles drop from internal weapon bays and ignite their rocket motors, accelerating to Mach 4 in the blink of an eye. To the Japanese pilots, the attack comes from absolutely nowhere. Sakai's wingman simply vanishes in a ball of fire and aluminum fragments. No warning, no incoming tracers, just sudden violent death from an empty sky. Another Zero disintegrates as its fuel tanks detonate, the explosion so violent it rattles windows on the island below. Within 30 seconds, 8 of the 12 defending fighters have been erased from existence by an enemy they never saw coming. The survivors break formation in panic, diving towards the deck while frantically radioing impossible reports of invisible attackers. But the F-22 isn't finished. Dropping to 15,000 feet, it engages the fleeing Zeros with its remaining MRAMs, picking them off one by one like a hunter culling a flock. The last Zero, piloted by a 19-year-old who enlisted after his village was bombed, attempts a desperate climbing turn. An M9X Sidewinder tracks his exhaust signature and ends his war 3 seconds later. Total air-to-air engagement time, 97 seconds. Japanese losses, 12 aircraft and their irreplaceable pilots. American losses, 8 missiles and roughly 10 minutes of flight time. When the smoke clears over Iwo Jima's volcanic rock, The F-22 Raptor would stand as an unstoppable force of nature, having compressed months of aerial warfare into minutes of technological dominance. 70 years of aviation advancement would transform one of history's bloodiest battles into a demonstration of how far human engineering can reach when pushed to its absolute limits. But what do you think would really happen if modern technology met World War II's greatest fortress?